Chapter 8. The man was in the cave. His footsteps neared, each one coming at a slow, deliberate pace. But then, he didn't need to rush. We were trapped, caught in a massive cavern we knew nothing about, with our only exit blocked by the man himself. "He knows we're here," Eric said. I wanted to tell him to shut it, that there was a chance he didn't, but I knew he was right. At the man's current state, he could almost certainly smell us. My mind shot through 100 different escape plans, but each one ended up with either captured or killed, possibly eaten. Eric shifted beside me. "What now?" "We do the only thing we can do," I said quietly, feeling not entirely sure of myself. "We take control." Retake control? I took a deep breath, hating myself for what I was about to do. But we were out of options. Running blindly into the cave wasn't on the table, and neither was running blindly into the man. That left one thing. "Took you long enough," I shouted into the dark. The man's footsteps stopped. "Matt!" Eric hissed. "Nolan, right?" I continued, ignoring my brother. "You are our grandmother's other son, which means you're our uncle." Silence. "Seriously?" Eric said, trying to put his hand over my mouth. I pushed him away. "We know what she did to you, what she turned you into." A growl escaped through the cave, low and ragged. Then the footsteps resumed. They were faster now. I sucked in an anxious breath, second-guessing my plan. But I was all in at this point, and there was no going back. "We can help you," I shouted. The footsteps thundered, like a beast on all fours, and close. I stumbled backward, my body acting on instinct, my muscles twitching to flee, but I couldn't. There was nowhere to run. "Please!" I crashed to the floor with a gasp. The wind knocked from my lungs. The man's heavy paw pressed on my chest. His breath smelled rancid and rotten. His eyes a horrid glowing yellow. I struggled at him and his claws dug into my flesh. Eric cried out beside me, bashing at the man, before he too hit the ground with a dull thud. "Eric!" I wheezed. I kicked and bit at the man. "Eric!" His paws moved from my chest to my mouth, where it clasped itself almost entirely about my head. I screamed muffled cries into it, my fist beating at him uselessly. This was it, I thought. I'd killed both of us. My chest heaved, emotions rioting within me. Tears fell from my face. Adrenaline raced through my veins, and regret filled my thoughts. I should have listened to Eric. I was a fool. The man only advanced once I made it clear we were there. If I hadn't... A roar sounded from outside, one deeper, more feral than even the man's. It filled the cave. Its echoed, ears splitting, and its tone like gravel in a carburetor. I fell still, my resistance fading as I realized what the man was doing. "It's dark," the man growled. "It's dark." The same warning he'd given us the first time. The beast had shown up. He'd meant to warn us again. I nodded beneath his grip, and he removed his mottled paw from my face. I sat up slowly, my eyes still useless in the pitch of the cave. "Eric," I said quietly. "I'm here, Matt." I heard the man rise to his feet. Then he grabbed me by the back of my leather jacket and heaved me up with him. Eric grabbed my shoulder, steadying himself as the man easily plucked him up next. "The beast is back," Eric whispered beside me. "Looks that way," I said, the man grunting expectantly. "It's dark." "Oh, right," I said, getting his meaning. I flipped my phone's light on and cast it ahead. The man had already begun walking deeper into the cave, though this time more slowly. He intended for us to follow. Eric and I exchanged a brief look of unease before nodding and shuffling after him. My heart racing as I prayed we'd make the right decision. "This feels too convenient," Eric whispered. "Don't forget the last time the man showed up we nearly died." "Don't have much of a choice, do we?" I said, cradling my broken wrist. "If it's between the beast and the man, I'm taking the man every time. If the man was Nolan, then he might be trying to help us, and maybe that was his intention all along. Likely, he knew about Jake too." We walked only a short while before he came to a halt in front of a rusty cage door, which separated our half of the cavern from one ahead. The man sniffed at the bars, animatedly, before heaving the heavy door open to a symphony of metallic screeching. "Christ," I said, plugging my ears. "When's the last time the hinge got greased?" "Might have been a while," Eric reasoned. Grandma didn't seem to care much for her hobby in her later years, if Uncle Jake's words were anything to go by. Uncle Jake. We were both quiet for a moment, guilt sweeping in my stomach, and only stirred when the man beckoned us forward with a great, gnarled paw. We made our way to him. As we knew, the light of my phone began playing across man-made objects against the stark black stone of the cave. Tables were scattered about, stacked with books and various surgical tools, while chairs sat tucked neatly beneath them. On the smooth wall ahead was a great sprawling diagram written in white. I recognized it as the same diagram from Mysteries. "Do you think this is it?" Eric said breathlessly. "Where she made them?" It seemed that way. Grandma hadn't wanted us to explore in the cave, and after passing the steel gate, she clearly didn't want anything in here, human or otherwise. I picked up a beaker of fluid, gazing at it like I knew anything about chemistry. This definitely fits the mold of evil lab. "Where did she get the time to do all this?" Eric said. There was a snap of a match, and then a flame hissed quietly to life. I turned to see Eric lighting a large candle. "Sorry if I startled you. I just figured we ought to save your phone's battery." "No, that's a good idea." I stuffed my phone back into my pocket, while the two of us made our way around the lab lighting the other candles. "I've been thinking," Eric said, waving over his match. We lit the last of the wicks. "About what we might find down here." I could still hear our mother weeping in the back of my thoughts. I could still feel, no matter how far I pushed it down, the thrill I'd felt at bashing in Jake's skull. I swallowed. "Yeah, me too." We split up and looked over the contents of the tables. A lot of it was books written in a language I couldn't make heads or tails of, bound in leather with fancy steel clasp on the front. They looked 1,000 years old. Then, beneath a stack of scattered papers, I found a page with my name on it. I snatched it up, looking at Eric to make sure he hadn't noticed. My brother stood near the far wall of the room, his head in a book, occasionally glancing at the ground and adjusting his glasses. Good, I was in the clear. I read. Matthew is responding well. His mannerisms appear mostly unaffected. He is still kind, rambunctious, and curious. Certainly far less aggressive than Jacob. I was also quite happy to see his physical state had remained consistent, and I sense I may have sorted out the issue that affected Nolan. There are still certain uncertainties I have about him, but it's possible he's the one after all. I'll continue monitoring over the next week, but Alice is growing concerned, and the boys have grown more brazen. I found Eric wandering toward the cave yesterday. I may soon have to send them home. I'll remind Jake to keep a better eye on them in the future, and to stop filling their heads with tales of adventure. There will be plenty of time to explore this mountain when everything is done. "Eric," I said, the reality of the situation crashing upon me. "What if we find out we're monsters too?" Eric said, walking toward me with a look of morose. I didn't say anything. The truth was, I didn't think there was much "we" in it. Grandma had given me something, and now it was clear. It was the same serum she'd given Jake and Nolan. I looked at the man, and Nolan, and sighed. What had she done to us? Why? I don't know, I said, hating myself for being too weak to admit what I was. What if I turned now and hurt Eric? My stomach twisted. Why don't you stay here? I'm gonna go. Get some fresh air. I slunk toward the rusty door. Eric's hand clasped my shoulder. I get it, Matt. I do. Jake wasn't Jake anymore. You did what you had to do in order to protect us. He shook his head. I was wrong to make you feel like you were one of them. I paused, unsure what sparked the change in his heart. Eric's expression wasn't angry or hateful anymore. Rather, it was calm and a bit regretful. He let his hand fall away. So don't feel like you need to run off, all right? I nodded. It was a nice sentiment, and I was glad that Eric trusted me again. But he was wrong, too. The page had confirmed it. I was a monster, and I'd already felt myself losing control to Grandma's medicine. What if next time, instead of Jake, Eric was the focus of my anger? I stuffed my hands in my pockets. I wasn't going to let that happen. Don't worry, I lied. I'm not running off, just getting some fresh air. I got my phone's light. I'll find my way back. I heaved the steel gate open to sharp notes of squealing metal. Nolan stepped in front of me. His massive jaws dripped saliva, his glowing yellow eyes boring into me. I squirmed beneath his gaze. It's dark, he said, pointing to the back of the room. I blinked. Was he trying to show me something? Swallowing, I picked up a candle and followed him toward the shadowy corner. The same corner I'd seen Eric in while I read the page. As we neared, I realized something was on the floor beneath us. Runes. They made a large circle and looked as if they'd been carved directly into the cavern floor, hammer and chisel style. The hell? I muttered, recalling the runes from Mysteries. What is this? They're symbols, Eric said. Pagan by the looks of them. His eyes were downcast, his voice filled with guilt. I think it may be some sort of summoning circle. Summoning circle? Summon what? Eric fidgeted with his hands. He started to speak, then the words escaped him and fell silent again. Eric? Matt. His words came between whimpers. Another anxiety attack. No sense badgering him right now. Nolan led me here. Perhaps he had more information. Nolan, right? What's going on? Can you tell me anything to help me understand? Silence. Of course he couldn't explain. His only vocabulary consisted of amounts in the time of day. Still, I'd have appreciated if he could have pointed a book or a scroll to help me along. Then it hit me. Eric might be too worked up to get any words out, but I knew he'd learned about that summoning circle. I extended my hand to my brother. Hand me the book then. I'll find out myself. Eric stepped backwards, clutching the book against his chest. I can't, Matt. You don't get it. What? I don't get it. Eric, stop fucking around. Another roar erupted. The beast. Was that closer? Shit, I thought. The bastard probably heard the screech in the damn gate. I'm not fucking around, Eric shrieked at me, his eyes wet with tears. There's stuff in here that you wouldn't understand. Couldn't understand. What the hell was going on? I winced, bringing a hand to my head as my mother's crying voice screamed to my mind. Please, Matthew! Please! My lips felt dry again. My ears rang. Eric, I said, stumbling to stay upright. The book. I need to know what the circle is. I already told you, he said, sobbing. It's a summoning circle. I need more details than that, Eric. What the fuck is a summoning? Please, Matt, please, you have to. I shook myself free of my mother's voice, gritting my teeth and grounding myself in the moment. Focus on the pain in my wrist. Focus on the sound of water dripping against stone. Focus on the cool breeze. Breathe. If I give you the book, you'll do it, Eric said, backing away from me and shaking his head. You'll do it! Do what? I shouted. Sound, touch, scent, ground, myself. Fuck, this was hard. It's nearly dark, Nolan growled. Another roar. This one echoing through the cave. So much closer now. Sharp, jagged, and monstrous. The beast. Was it inside? Damn it. If I give you the book, Eric said, pointing at me with a manic expression, glasses crooked on his nose, you'll do to me what you did to Jake. Fuck! My legs felt weak. I stumbled to a knee, taking another breath and centering myself. Memories bombarded me. All my mother's voice screamed in my head over and over. Please, Matthew, please! Shut up, Mom, please! Why would I do that? I said, screwing my face in a sensory overload. Tell me, Eric. Tell me why I would do that. Eric said, trailing off. It's dark, Nolan repeated, this time harsher, more fiercely. It's dark. I became acutely aware of him moving, darting off toward the way he'd come. Where was he going? Another roar, guttural, horrible, so close, too close. Something was running through the cave, something massive. Please, Matthew, please! Eric, I screamed, tell me! I'm one of them, he sobbed quietly. A monster.